And let me tell y'all, Tron has the dopest, tightest edge up I've seen in a while. His edge up is chef's kiss. Tron Williams is here. Now, your business is training people to interview to become pilots. Why is that important that people know how to interview to become pilots?
Well, I tell you what, people that fly airplanes, by the time you're pursuing a major airline, right, getting there. Now we're not talking about flying around as a hobby, but we're talking about flying Miss Karen Hunter around, and she's a little bit nervous and doesn't like turbulence, right? So we got to close the deal. This is at a major airline where you're either a corporate pilot or just flying where you're going to be responsible for large amounts of people or cargo. That particular interview is very extensive. It happens to be a very extensive interview where they're going to look at backgrounds, psychology, and you're asking to take a lifetime worth of skills and over 2 hours present that to a gatekeeper and have him or, he or she say, yes, this person's a good fit for us. And oftentimes, just like with any interview, I'm sure if you hire staff, culture fit actually happens to be a big deal. We teach culture fit. Our style, we teach people to ace an interview: authenticity, culture fit, and empathy. So
does that mean when you say culture fit, it is a trigger for me because we're in a space right now where what does it mean to fit into culture? Yes. There was a time when we understood if you spoke in a certain kind of way and you wore a certain kind of suit and you had your dulcet tones and you kept it really, mild and mellow and let them white people know I'm not a scary Negro. And yes, I'm going to be able to handle all the things. You couldn't come in with is that still relevant? Can you be your authentic self as a pilot these days?
That is a great question. It's tough. It's tough. I'll say for myself, if I'm totally who I am, there's a little bit of, I can't go into an interview and be Tron. Well, my brother Rashad, right? I can't show up anywhere with Rashad sometimes. Right. But I will say, no, culture fit for in this aspect is knowing and understanding what a company's culture is. I don't know if you've ever flown on Southwest. Southwest, you don't have an assigned seat. They are a little bit more jipper. They're going to be silly on the public announcement, that sort of thing. Delta's a lot more buttoned up. They're going to want to wear a hat and a double-breasted suit. So when I speak of culture, what I mean is, hey, be your authentic self, but you've got to be able to fit into that company's culture. And not necessarily, we have a skill set. We fly airplanes. So ultimately, that's what they're hiring us for. However, they want to know that we can play the role, we can fit the part when we have to. And then, hey, we're going to close that door at some point. And when I talk about culture there, I'm also talking about, can you be respectful of the person to your right? Can you be respectful of the person to your left? Can you be respectful to the person that, the F Trump or the, let's go Brandon and all that. Well, all of that.
What if the pilot's doing that? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying a pilot actually did that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we teach. We teach that when you show up, you are representing the company's brand, and they're not interested in your political affiliation. And you have to be respectful of everyone that is flying on that airline. And so we happen to work with a lot of military guys, and the military has a culture. And so what we try to do is indoctrinate them into, hey, this is a Fortune 50 company. Hey, let's leave some of that warfighter stuff behind. Some of the things that may have been acceptable, in the military are absolutely unacceptable at a Fortune 50 company. So we just try to teach that. And then the last thing we teach, Karen, is empathy. We take a person who hasn't been, I'm a military guy and it's either right or wrong or black or white. And we try to see the other side of someone's opinion.
All right. So, how do we do that? We have a couple of minutes.
Sure.
I want you to stick around if you can. Do you have time, Tron?
I do. Absolutely.
All right.
I'm excited.
All right. Because I want you to tell us how we work through that thing when it's not black and white. How do we get people to come around when you're training folk to prepare them to have jobs at these major airlines? How do you get them to break their indoctrination? Because a lot of military folk are sold out. They're sold out Christian. super Christian. They're very law and order, and they're very, commander in chief is everything.
That's correct.
Right? No matter who it is.
That's correct.
And the folk that are flying may not be all of that. And so how do you navigate that? How do you twist that? But before we do that, and this is when we come back, I want you to talk about that. Where are you from? Tell me about your people, and how at 17 did you get interested in flying?
Well, I'm blessed. My great uncle was a Tuskegee Airman. And my great aunt was the president of Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated for about 30 years. So my Aunt Claire White and my Uncle Hugh White, they introduced me to aviation. I grew up in a home where, we were proud to be who we were. And the only way to do that proudly was to lift others up. And so I got an opportunity to just be around them, and the Tuskegee Airmen, sometimes you think they're pilots. We're talking about everyone, from the people that did support, from the females and the people that flew, all, top to bottom. So I had the opportunity to be around airplanes. My dad was in the military. I was a military brat. I lived in England, Japan, Los Angeles, Florida. And so I learned to understand and appreciate different cultures. And I learned and understood that we don't do everything right here. And so I've been just trying to share, my personal experience and get people to see life through a different lens. We're
talking flying. He's a pilot. He flies. He's military. And currently right now in the United States, 89.4% of pilots are white. 5.1% are Hispanic. 2% are Asian. And 1.2% are Black. Now, what do we do about this?
Yes. Well, first of all, we just need to expose us to aviation. There are organizations like OBAT and other organizations that are out there that expose people to aviation at a young age. That's just why I'm sitting here today. I was blessed enough to be exposed to it. The other thing we need to educate, and truthfully, it's an athletic skill. So, surprise, we're good at its hands and feet. Can I react to, when I go to land, how quickly can I react to the changes in the atmosphere with my hands and with my feet? That is an athletic skill. So truthfully, we're really good at it. If I was going to be Tron, I'd say we're better than most at it. And so it's an athletic skill. We just have to get exposed to it earlier. We have to educate, we have to stay educated and get the opportunity to see it, and that we can change the dynamic.
I never thought of piloting as an athletic event or like it, that, but it's hand-eye coordination.
Yes.
And then it's making quick adjustments, right?
Quick, small adjustments. And you're going to do that with your hands and your feet. So, yeah. Okay,
Tron Williams. So did you play? Because you look like you might have played football or something.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking at you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I played ball. I played football. I enjoyed the sport. It's not a lifetime sport, but I did play, and I enjoyed it. I coached. I have a son that's very talented, and he'll go on to play. But yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I asked because when you likened it to athletics, I don't know if you didn't play, if you would have that same reference, but that you do have that as a reference makes all the sense in the world. So brothers and sisters, those of you who have great hand-eye coordination, and those of you who are really good at sports, you'll be really great at piloting. And the last time we were on, and shout out to the pilots that we had on before, and Al Dozier, who's one of our favorite listeners, who also is participating. This is what bringing a brick looks like. He's like, I know. And he's also, of course, former military, to have this now, so you need that skill. What about this, the mental? What do you need to have there?
Yes, the aptitude, but honestly, I mean, they're making these airplanes systems that you have to manage. Okay. So I say, I don't want to dumb it down and minimize it, but the truth of the matter is there's a lot of, you go and you see a flight deck and it's, there's buttons everywhere. You don't see them. Like oftentimes you'll have a checklist that tells you what to do with a switch, move it left or right or up or down anyway when something happens. I'd say the biggest skill set is just preparation. Like we talk about, like being able to look at the weather the day before, being where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. You know, if you can do that, you can show up on time, you can show up prepared. It's not rocket science. It's not at all. This pilot shortage we're going to see that you know, a lot of people can fly an airplane. When we talk about from an interview prep, it used to be this concept where, oh, we'll just I'm this and I was that in the military. Well, everybody can fly airplanes. I'm not going to say not everybody, but a lot of people can fly airplanes.
Do you need a college degree? Do you need like?
You no longer need a college degree at some major airlines. I happen to fly for a company that I fly for FedEx, and they just got rid of the requirement. So you no longer need a college degree to fly airplanes. And I truly don't believe that you actually do to do the job well.
Okay.
So as long as you have now there's certain gates that you have to meet as far as hours and time, but a college degree, I do not believe is any longer required to be a good driver.
And Tron Williams is here. The salary, sir, last pilots we had on here, they were talking about all of the money that they make. Tron Williams, of course, CEO, co-founder of Spitfire Elite Consulting, and you can follow them at Spitfire Elite on the Twitters. And I just posted a video from the Jetted that we were talking about, so y'all can follow Jetted as well. Were we talking about this on mic or off mic? I don't remember, but I just gave them some love. So because it's off mic. All right, well now it's on mic. Y'all know now how to fly private. But Tron, tell us about the salary.
The salary is, we're making millionaires. I'd like to tell people with confidence at Spitfire Elite, we're making more Black millionaires than baseball, period. We are. You fly an airplane for 5 years in today's industry at a major, you're going to hit $1 million. As you get more seniority, you can hit $1 million every 2 years. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And that's why it's too important to miss. It's too important to miss. When we have a person of color, we established our company for women, people of color, and English as a second language. And when they work that hard and get the credentials and show up, we cannot have them miss on game day. So we pour some juice on it.
So you get people prepared, not just for the interview process, but for the whole, like, you're going to get a job when you finish with Spitfire Elite. You're going to
get a job.
Play somewhere. Now, is this national, or are you, or just in Texas? Like, people are listening from all over the country and parts of Canada. How do they connect with you if somebody's listening right now? Say they have a young person that just graduated from college, or a young person in their lives that are, that's in college, not really sure what they want to do with their lives. Maybe there's an older person who's, in their 40s or 50s and looking to get back into another career. What do they need to do, and what do they need to know?
So we usually get people a little bit closer to the majors. They've hit their minimum requirements for the JetBlues, FedEx, Delta, American, Southwest. But we are also involved in organizations like OBAP, Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals. And that is an organization where a young kid, they have things called the ACE Academy that I participated in as a kid, where a young kid can go and get exposure to aviation. Well, we're going to be at those conferences as well. And so, we believe that this whole thing, rising tide lifts all boats, right? So we have different service organizations that are going to help. We kind of catch people toward the end. Karen, I will mention what happened originally was there was one person that was in this space that said some ugly things about people of color. And that spurred me to start this company because I was actually encouraging people as part of that process to go to him. Well, he said some ugly things. We in turn said, okay, no longer, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something about it. And then in December of 2020, we started with about 8 minority candidates. And as of today, we get about 120 clients a month.
Look at that. Now, how long does it take to train somebody to get ready to fly a plane?
So I'd say your overall training, they have, they have some programs that can get you there in about 2 years, 2.5 years. Oftentimes you're going to work your way up, right, to the regionals, your envoys and your, SkyWest and that sort of thing. And then as you transition to the major airlines, after you get your time in the right seat, time in the left seat. So I'd say overall, if you're just focusing on flying, you can probably get to a major in about 5 to 7 years now. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And listen, to become a multimillionaire or millionaire in a couple of years that's not a bad, some of us have student loan debt. We put 5 to 7 years in with nothing to show for it. This at least will provide you with a serviceable skill. Now, that bridging of the gap that I talked about, what process, what do you do to get people to unhinge or take away their indoctrination?
Well, I think part of the blessing is I happen to be where they want to be. I've done what they're trying to do oftentimes. And so as a CEO and co-founder of a company with a brown face, I can help and get them to understand that if they see life through a straw, they have no chance of getting where we're going. As you work and you learn and understand how to get people in places, you also develop relationships. And, as part of the reason why we exist, that's part of our story. So I will often tell people, hey, this guy said this on Facebook or whatever. And if you communicate some of the things that are in your mind when that door closes, it doesn't work. I also communicate that, hey, I have a daughter. I got a daughter who's extremely talented. And today I don't want her to fly an airplane. But I am hopeful that if we can continue to have a positive impact on the space and turn this into less of a boys club, good old boys club,
right,
that can change. And so that, this is just kind of a little way of doing that. And when we have access to have impact, we try to drive those points home.
Yeah. What percentage of pilots are women?
Percentage of pilots are women.
I don't have that stat.
Yeah, I think it's something about 7, but I'd say women are of color, you're more than likely to get struck by lightning. It's 0.25.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we got to do something about that.